Good morning, this is David Plazas, Community Conversation Editor of the News Press. It is June 25th, 2012. We have the privilege of having with us Doug St. Cerny, candidate for Lee County Commissioner, District 2. And before we begin, let's ask our editorial board members to please introduce themselves for the record.
Cole Peacock, alumni for the editorial board and foremost.
I'm Dick Kalfas, Cape Coral.
Pam Grubhouse, Bonita Springs.
Don Eslick, alumni from Estero.
Carrie Everly with the News Press.
Mr. St. Cerny, would you tell us, why are you running for this position?
Well, having served for the number of years that I had, there seemed to be a dramatic need for some civility and stability on the board, and bringing with that, I think, a lot of experience and the capacity to work with other people. And so when it looked like there was going to be an open seat, a number of people contacted me and asked me if I'd think about it. And I said, well, once it's vacant, I would. And I did, and made the decision that I have, I think, a lot to contribute and help to the stability of the county and the next phase of coming out of this recession and growth and controlling that and working well with people. I think I've always established that type of criteria, so those were the reasons for doing it.
And what have you learned from your original service on the commission that you think you can bring specifically to the current challenges of Lee County?
Well, quite a few. I won't be involved in building any more universities. I spent 12 years doing that. I spent almost 11 years building the new international airport. We probably won't be building another one of those. And I think I've looked at a lot of things that we did through a time frame from when I went on the board and the situation everyone found themselves in at that time to where we went from there, and how we changed the face of government, made it user-friendly, made it citizen-friendly, established a lot of working groups, opportunities for people to interact with the Board of County Commissioners, and a lot of those things weren't done to that magnitude before. And I think to this day, after those years, that proved to be very, very rewarding to not only the citizenry, but to the Board of County Commissioners and their staff. I think it was a win-win for everybody. So I think I have a world of experiences that I've seen and had opportunities to make decisions on that I'm very proud of, the years that I served on the Board of County Commissioners. And granted, you always come back to probably the largest and the biggest, but having an opportunity to start at very much ground level with Florida Gulf Coast University and help marshal it through to where it was. I was the board liaison for all the years I was on the Board of County Commissioners. And then later, of course, went on the Board of Trustees, but it was an opportunity to be involved in the beginning, see it formulate, see it come to fruition, see it grow to 13,500 students. That's something you wouldn't get too many opportunities in a lifetime to do, so I cherish those kind of memories.
It's a very different time. When you were on the commission, the economy is sort of going along and it was moving forward, and the money wasn't an issue. In the last 4 years, it's become a big issue. What do you hope the commission has learned from this? Well,
first of all, I think we started off, when I came on the board, it was on the tail end of an article in Florida Trend that said Lee County was the worst county in the state of Florida to do business in. You probably remember that. That seemed to be everybody's real concern at that time. So we took that on as a challenge and realized we had an awful lot of work to do to get to that point. They were growth years. I mean, when you look at the years of increasing the budget, the number of permittings going on, tourist tax dollar revenues and things like that, yeah, it was a boom cycle. But you can also learn from that to the point that when you get to the point where we have seen the county board budget shrink, revenues shrink, ancillary fees coming in shrink, I think they've probably done a very good job of downsizing and getting it to where it's manageable, but they're not finished with that yet. I still think that there's room for cutting the budget and managing the affairs of the county, satisfying the needs of the citizens by all means, and still have a balanced budget. And I think that's very, very probable. And within that scope, you know, you've got to take serious looks at additional cuts that need to be taken. When you have the number of people who were out of work, you look at the number of foreclosures that happened in Southwest Florida and Lee County. There were a lot of people who had an awful lot of problems. And I think as a leader in the role of government, it's your responsibility to set a standard and to show leadership in what you can do to help. And I think there's still an enormous amount of room for that to take place in the years to come, because we're going to need to do that.
Talking about the budget, we're facing a $20 to $30 million deficit again, depending on what the numbers finally end up. Do you have specific areas that you would cut from? Would you just take it from the reserve, or you mentioned where there's room to cut?
From my point of view, I think you'd take a combination probably. I've met with county administration a number of times and gone through some analyzation with the budget and where they foresee problems and where they foresee areas of remedy. I think that from what I understand and what I've been told and what I've reviewed, the $30 million is very doable. If that's what it's going to take to balance the budget for the years to come, it'll be done, and it needs to be done. And I think you can look at recommendations from administration and look at what you perceive out of the tentative budget that was offered the 21st and see where there is room to make cuts and to balance the budget. I think it can be done.
Since you left the commission in 2006, do you think that the commissioners have been effective in dealing with the issues that are ahead of them? We've had some big issues ranging from the baseball stadium to budgetary issues, more demands on whether it's human services or whether it's the sheriff's office budget. Have they been effective, and has the county administrator been effective?
I think they both have been. I think the board's done a good job of dealing with the issues at hand that were first and foremost the most important. I think the administration, the present administration, has done a good job of, number one, understanding and realizing what actually is going on in their county. And whether you're more concerned about human services or transportation or whatever people's particular needs are, I think they've dealt with that, probably to much scrutiny, as the board's probably had some scrutiny, but that's the nature of it happening, the way it's happening in this type of environment. I think they're all to be commended for doing a good job. You know, that's not easy. I've always said, you know, you always got to slap somebody on the back and say, you know, I admire you for having the courage to run for office, let alone serve in office. And it's not sometimes a very pleasant task, but there are tasks that have to be done. You have to make the hard choices. And I would be less than candid if I were going to say I would sit here and criticize at any level. I wouldn't do that. I think they've worked very hard and against a lot of odds, and I think they've done a really good job.
Doug, over the next 2 years, what do you hope to provide leadership in? What areas would you take the lead on?
Well, first of all, I think the first and foremost thing that we would have to do is we're going to have to deal with jobs. We're going to have to deal with inducements and programs of attracting local businesses to enlarge, hire more people. I think you're going to have to maintain, still trying to attract new industry, clean industry to the area. That has been an ongoing endeavor of Lee County, but you know, when you hit as bad at times as there have been, a lot of times it just kind of dries up. I think you have to get that initiated and get people excited again. The worst thing that can happen is that when you have so much negativity towards something, it permeates a society, and you know, everybody thinks from the downside rather than the upside. We can't do this. Oh no, you can do it. You just have to approach it a different way, be a little smarter and work a little harder. But I think it's doable, and I think those would be leadership qualities in working with local businesses. I think we have to work harder with the disadvantaged business enterprise. We had done that for years, but I think it's first and foremost, and it's nice to see that it's being addressed. New industries come into the area. whether it's medical research or any clean industry that you can attract. I think the Office of Economic Development needs to be still concerned at attracting those and working with new businesses to come to the area. I think those are first and foremost. Next of all is maintaining our infrastructure. We worked for years and spent an awful lot of money here upgrading our infrastructure and our utilities, our roadways, and I think the county's done a good job of keeping up with those. But you can't rest on your laurels. Tomorrow's another day. And I think that's the most important thing I could add to that question, is that what has happened in the past has happened, and we've learned from that. Today's a new day, tomorrow's a new day, and we've got to worry about tomorrow, not just yesterday's. We can learn from yesterday, but we have to use those as an asset to charge forward in doing better in the future than we did maybe in the past.